Hello and welcome again to our session for today. And as for today's agenda, we have some learning outcomes that we need to cover. The first one is to evaluate your technological context and understand what you can and can't do. Use classroom management techniques to exploit technology you have access to in your school. To exploit off-site resources and technology you and your learners may own. Use the flipped classroom method to further encourage learner autonomy and use of technology. Encourage learner autonomy and out of classroom learning. Have you ever heard about this expression, learner autonomy?
I think it is independent learner.
Yes.
That the learner will depend on himself.
Thank you so much. Excellent. Yes, that's the point. And of course, because of this era, we're at the age of technology and we need our students to master and own their own learning and be able to manage it well. And we as teachers are to guide them, not to spoon feed them. So we would find out how to deal with such objective. Let's start with this part. First of all, what do you think about high technology and your technology resources at your schools? Tell me, do you have computer at your schools?
Yes, there is a computer in my school.
Do you use it?
Yes.
About how many times?
Once.
Twice a week.
Okay, so you have like a scheduled sessions or periods.
Yes.
This is really nice. Here, when we talk about technology and low resource context, there are three important factors in low resources context. The first one is classroom management. It's how can you manage your class, how you can exploit the amount of technologies that you have access to in your class and outside the class. The second factor is how much you understand your context or the content that you're teaching, as well as how to use it with technology and how to exploit the technologies that you have with your learners. The third factor is the learner autonomy, or how far you allow your learners to depend on themselves and to use these technologies outside the classroom. So there are three important factors we need to think about when we talk about a low resource context. And again, by low resource context, it means that a context that doesn't have a lot of technology, but the minimal level of it. Let's move into the first part or the first factor, which is classroom management while using technology. Let's talk about it. And there are 5 factors that are related to classroom management. Especially when we talk about technology available in our class, we said that we have here 5 factors that allow the classroom management. Factor number 1 is how you organize your students to be able to work in groups, which will affect the type of tasks that you give to your students. If you have a large number of students, this will affect how you manage the class and how many tasks that you give to them and how you run those tasks. As for the second one, time management, because all of us know very well that technology may take time more than expected. We have just all tried to use technology in our class. Even if you use the Bluetooth speakers, it takes time, right? When we try to use the Bluetooth speakers, they take time more than planned. So we need to be aware of how much time we spend, especially when we use technology, because it could waste the time of us and our students. The third factor is classroom layout. It's how you organize your class in a way that facilitates group work and for students to work together. As for classroom size, again, to bear in mind the number of the students that you have in class, and that will consequently affect the number of groups that you have, which will also impact the amount of time that you spend. As for whole class viewing of a computer screen, it means that how you organize your class in a way that you can facilitate viewing a computer screen for learners. The second main factor for today is group work and task preparation. This is when we talk about classroom management, we need to ask ourselves the following question. I'll open the microphone for you all to share your ideas with me. You can unmute yourself. How can we organize our students into groups? What are the steps that we usually follow to put our students into groups? Ms. Nagla, would you like to share your ideas with us?
Yes, Miss.
Okay.
I think classes can be grouped according to first the students' number in the class.
Okay.
Also, each group should vary according to the students' levels, their backgrounds. Sometimes in our schools we can't divide it in both girls and boys because it's sensitive to somehow. It should include variety of students according to their level, their different attitudes of learning.
Okay, nice idea. Let me move into the next question. How can we give the students their tasks? If they are grouped now, how do you give them their tasks? Do you assign one task for the whole class and all the groups, or you give them different tasks related to the content? Tell me your ideas. Ms. Nagla, thank you for being an active part.
Thank you, Smith. The tasks should be varied.
Okay, why?
To appeal to students' attitudes and their differences, individual differences.
Thank you. Yes, go on.
Some students, they differ in their attitudes of learning, so they need to have different activities so as to do it as well as I want.
What about this one? How do you prepare tasks while you are managing your students into groups? How do you monitor or run the grouping part?
I usually, do you ask me or someone else?
Yes, you can, sure.
Yes. I usually monitor them while they are sitting in groups. I monitor around them from the back to look at what they are doing without interfering. Unless they make mistakes, I can correct it after they finish it through feedback content.
Okay, so you are just moving around.
Yes, moving and monitoring them.
Yes, without
recording anything I notice.
Yes, without any interruption or interference from you.
Yes, without interference, unless they ask me to help with something. Okay. Sometimes I can guide them to do something.
Thank you so much. Any other ideas? Thank you so much.
The teacher will be a facilitator only to give orders, to give directions, and let the student work with each other.
Okay, nice. Do you use the grouping part in your class, or you prefer to work as a whole class or in pairs?
Yes, I divided class into groups. I gave each group a name, and there is a leader in each group. Then I gave different tasks that appeal to their level.
Okay, nice.
Then I ask them to work with each other. The leader will tell us, will say their answer.
Can I add something?
Yes, sure.
For me, I usually did that before the corona pandemic.
Yes.
But now, this time, I can't do it because I have a limited time. I can't do it.
Okay, you have a point here, but we're talking in the normal cases.
Yes, in normal cases, it's okay.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, let's move into the following statements. And here, your role is to think about them. We will find out the correct answer by like 5 minutes from now. But as for now, we're asked to think about those statements and think, are they good advices or bad ones? Are they good practices or bad ones? The first idea or suggestion is to split your class into groups and assign each group the same task as they wait their turn to use the computer. If we have in the class a single computer device and we are to ask students to work in groups, we will put them in groups and then they wait one group by the other till the first one finishes and the other goes to the computer device and work on it. Do you think this is a good practice or not?
No.
Why not?
I think giving the same task isn't a good idea.
Why, Mr. Muhammad?
Because it will be a boring matter.
Nice.
And the students will take the same answer to give the same answer when they have their turn.
Yes, they keep repeating the same words more and more. Okay, Ms.
Yes.
Nagla, do you have any other ideas?
Yes. It's bad, of course, because it wastes a lot of time. It can't be applied in the class.
Okay, we will find the correct answer after a while. As for the second statement, make sure that all groups understand exactly what they have to do. What do you think?
Good idea.
Good.
Why?
Because it must be clear for every student to know what he will do.
Okay.
And what I expect they will do.
Okay, because
yes, I think it's good because the students should understand what they have to do, what they have to, and this can be, and also will save my time in the class.
Of course, thank you. As for the third statement, it says, make sure you scaffold the various group tasks well. Providing model answers can be useful. By the word scaffold, it means?
Support.
Yes, thank you. Let me give you some examples for the scaffolding part. If you are to give the students a writing task to write a report, for example, give them a model to do the same or mirror or try to apply it in their own context. This is a kind of scaffolding. Do you think this is a good practice or not?
I think it will be a good way to have a model to judge their answer, if is it right or wrong.
Yes, because sometimes students need certain criteria to work on. We can't just throw them into the task and you have to finish it on your own without any help from us as teachers. Thank you. Ms. Nagla, would you like to add something?
No, I agree with Mr. Muhammad. I did.
Okay, thank you. Number 4, only set up different resources for learners to access during the lesson if they can move around.
Good idea.
Why?
If there is enough space and there is enough time to give different resources for every student to learn, it will be better and it will enrich their aim of learning.
Okay, Ms. Nagla.
I have a different opinion here. For me, I must, or it's advisable to let students create by themselves, not only to follow certain resources. Sometimes they can add, modify, or edit something.
Okay.
It may be more enjoyable.
Okay, you have a point. The fifth statement says, become more of a facilitator of learning rather than the person who delivers knowledge in the classroom.
Great point.
Why?
Because students must be independent not only receiver. If
Yes.
they create their own knowledge, they won't forget it at all. But if they only receive the knowledge, maybe they will remember it for short time. Then they will forget it.
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Nagla.
Yes, I have the same idea with the same opinion.
Okay, we will find out the answers after viewing the literature. We will see what literature says about organizing students into groups. How can we give them tasks while we are using technology? But first, look at this photo and the code. The code says cooperative learning is more than group work. What do you think of this code?
I think each one of them has a different task to do, but they use the same
tools.
Yes, I think.
Okay. Any other ideas? Miss Hannah, you're here, right? And Miss Islam, please join us. What do you think? Mr. Muhammad Eid, you have something to say?
Yes.
Oh, sure.
I think cooperative learning is much better than group work because students have different abilities and each one can express himself in a different way.
And any cooperative learning is composed of a certain kind of group. And if this group aren't working as one team, this team wouldn't win, wouldn't move one step further than they are, right?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So when you are organizing your students into groups, as you can see here, the students are sitting in a corner. They are working together on a task, on the same task. This is like a math lesson or something. They are working cooperatively together on how to solve the task, which is a good thing. They are like 4 minds on the same task. So one of them or two may get the solution. Look at the following picture, and this is similar to our own classes. As you can see here, the boy on the right is turning around or moving his chair to work with the two girls. And this is a solution that we mostly use here in Egypt because of the seating of our classes and the size of the class itself. This is the literature we are to discuss together about this part, group work and task preparation. If I go here to what literature says about group work, let's over here discover together and think about the 5 statements that we have previously talked about. Number 1, it says here that it could be difficult for our learners to work on a single computer. If I'm working in a large class and I have only one single computer, it would be hard to do that. Since in a low resource context, we may not have one computer for every student. We don't have that in our official schools. So in this case, it's advisable to put our learners into groups and have the computer in a way that they still can see the screen and it is accessible for them. We need to give each group a task as we agreed together, not one single task for the whole group. And you need to explain very well what students need to do for their task. Do you remember? Mr. Muhammad was talking about this part to have clear instruction. And you need, as a teacher, to give students instructions, checking questions to make sure that they have understood the instructions and the task in hand. Not only to give them instructions, but after you're done with your whole instructions, you can ask a question like, what are we going to do here?
Yes.
Are we
How much time do we have?
Yes. Are we going to work
Are we going to
alone
read or
in
write?
groups? Yes, thank you so much. Those are called the
ICQs.
Yes, thank you. Also, we need to scaffold As we said, by scaffolding, I need some kind of support because, Mr. Ahmed?
I think cooperative learning is an educational approach which aims to organize classroom activities into academic and social learning experiences.
As for the word scaffolding, we said it's a kind of support because it's illogical to say that you're going to help every individual learner in the group. We can't do that. Even the classroom timing wouldn't allow us to do that if you want to. Also, as we said, for scaffolding, we have one option to give the students a model or to give them the model answer for the task, but they have to put it or keep it upside down till the time is over, and they then turn it and check the answers to their task without needing you as a teacher to check the answer for the whole class, and this saves time and effort. Again, as for scaffolding, we are to guide them, not to give them each and every single piece of information. I'm sorry, I'm repeating this because we are teachers and we all like our learners to acquire the whole thing, which is not for their sake in the future. Here it says, if you want to ask them to write a report, prepare a skeleton report. Skeleton means a model one. To do one similar to it. The next point says that here is an idea on how to set up a variety of resource contexts. For example, each group I'll give a different task, but I relate it to the same topic, which is really important because I can't give like 5 tasks which are different, and those 5 tasks aren't related to the topic or the lesson we are having, because this will cause like disturbance for the students, right? And while I'm giving like 5 different activities for 5 different groups in my class, my rule is to rotate and give them a certain timing. And instead of working on this task for like 10 minutes, you have 5 minutes to finish, and then we will switch each task to each group. And my role as a teacher is to rotate and find a rotational technique to help the 5 groups to see the 5 tasks in, if they are 5 and 5 in 25 minutes, which is not a long period of time because this is their practice time. And the final point says that when you set up the activity, your role will become more like a facilitator because I have given them an answer key to check, right? And we said this in the scaffolding part. So as Mr. Muhammad says, I can assign someone in the group to be responsible about the group, and they are not to abide by the rules and the task itself. They need to stay on task. My rule here is to just facilitate how each group will rotate or will go from one resource center to the other. As Ms. Nagla said, I'm a facilitator. I'm not to do everything. It's their time, the students. We have here the answers, and let's check them quickly. As for the first one, to split and to give the same task for the whole class, we all agreed it's a bad idea. As for 2 and 3, to understand the content and the scaffold, those 2 points we agreed on, they are good practices. As for number 4, only set up different resources for learners during the lesson, which is not a good idea. Why? Because sometimes we give students some tasks which they can complete at home. So I need to provide them with the same resource to use at home. As for the final one, become more a facilitator, we all agree on that. The next factor is related to time management, class layout, class size, and viewing. And we will cover here how we manage our time, how we organize our class, and how we organize the number of the students in our class, and the best way students can see the computer screen if we have only one device in the class. As you can see here, we have other 5 statements about time management, class size, seating part, viewing part. Let's discuss them together. Ready? The first one is time management is important to ensure everyone gets to use technology during the lesson. Do you think this is a good or a bad practice? You can unmute yourself and talk to me.
Good.
Why? Why do you think this is a good practice?
Not only for using technology, time management is important to divide the lesson so that I can go through the lesson according to my steps.
Yes.
Not only, I think, only with technology.
Yes.
It's very important to apply all the time.
Nice. Any other ideas?
Yes, Miss.
Sure, go on, mister.
I think cooperative learning is very important, different from any other learning, because it has many cons, such as positive interdependence and group processing and social skills and interactions and individual responsibilities and individual accountability.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ahmed. Thank you. You're still talking about this part, right? Am I right?
Yes. Yes.
I'm going back to make sure I'm on the same track with you. You're talking about this code, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we were talking now about time management, and the statement here says, is it important for us while we are using technology in a raw resource context? Is it important for us to manage our time to allow all the groups to use this device or not? What do you think? Ms. Nagla says, sure, we need to manage our time all the time, not only for using a certain device, but to follow the sequence of our period or our class.
Yes.
Let's move into the second statement that says, if you want learners to use a computer in groups, place it in the center of the classroom so all learners can see it. What do you think?
I think it's bad.
Why?
For me, for teaching English, we need to we use the screen so the students can be in a semicircle, for example, like the semicircle. They face the board and the screen. I think it's no use putting it in the center of the class, because we have a large number of students in our classes. It can't be. I think it can't be done.
We will cover this part, the best place to put the computer in the class.
In front of the students.
Yes, but yes, you have a point. Thank you. Any other ideas?
I think taming your time is very important, not in group working only, but in all items.
Yes. So your idea goes with Ms. Nagla that we should manage our time for the whole sequence of the period, not only for the tasks part or running the tasks part. Thank you. Thank you so much. Do you have something to add, Mr. Muhammad? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, thanks.
Okay. As for the third statement, it says, try to locate the computer near a window or a blackboard. What do you think? Is it a good or a bad practice?
I think it mustn't be near a window because much light will make a trouble for every student to see clear what
Super.
is in the screen.
Super, to the point, yes. So it's a bad practice. What
Yes.
about the blackboard? How would it affect the computer? What do you think?
I think student will not concentrate on two things.
Okay, this is one point, and we will know the other in few minutes. Thank you so much. Number 4, if you teach a very large number of learners, don't bother trying to use technology in your classroom.
Bad.
Why?
It's very important to use technology even with large numbers.
Yes,
even with
the
large number classes, we use technology. For example, for me, I download what I wanted to show them on my phone, and I show it on the screen, the data room, on a screen, to look at this, to listen to something.
Okay.
Like this.
So you think it makes the class period is more
enjoyable for them.
Okay, Mr. Ahmed Al-Hadidi, you have something to add?
Yes. I think technology is very important because it helps to prepare with the career and the technical skills and help learners to reach new levels.
Okay, nice, nice. Thank you.
I think technology is very important.
Of course, we can't neglect it because we are at the age of technology and our students are using it all the time. Thank you so much. As for the last statement, yes, Mr. Muhammad?
I think technology is attractive. Students like it and feel happy when they use technology in classrooms.
Okay, nice. As we did before, we will find out the correct answers after a few minutes. But now we have other part of literature that is covering this part, time management. And as you can see here, as for time management, the literature says that when we split our classroom into groups, we have to be really careful on how we manage our time. And we have to ensure that each group works with the resources that you have set, including the computer. As a facilitator, your role here is to double check they are working on the things you ask them or you assign them to use. And tasks should suit the level of the students. Of course, we can't give them some kind of task that is over their level, and it would be really challenging for them, and they wouldn't like it, and they wouldn't try harder to finish it. But if it's their level and their interest, they would like to enjoy and join and work and finish it. Also, again, instructions should be really clear, which would save a lot of time because we as teachers face this problem so many times. After we finish giving the instructions, we find someone who says, "What am I supposed to do?" So make sure that your instructions are really clear. As for the classroom layout, it's about how we can organize the classroom. Students need to be able to move around the class easily without causing disruption. However, in our ordinary classes, the area is really small and students aren't really allowed to move this way. So if we have a computer device, for example, we can make the area around it like clearer. No chairs, no tables, to allow students or the group to work on the computer to reach it easily and fast, to save also our time and not to cause a noise for the other groups. Where can we put the computer? We covered this part in a minute. We said that it shouldn't be close to a window, as the Mr. said, because the light would block the students from seeing very well what's on the screen. Besides, it's not advisable to be put Next, the blackboard. If our classes are still using the blackboards, because the chalk itself would harm the screen. Also, I shouldn't put it in the center because, as the miss said, the students wouldn't concentrate on what am I doing. They would focus on the screen itself. But if we're using the whiteboard, if we are using the whiteboard, there is no problem with that. It doesn't cause any harm to the screen. And as the literature says here, we should place it where there is no much light and no bother from anyone, and easily accessible for the students to get to. As for the next point, class size. In order to better manage time while having a large number of students, one technique is to reduce the amount of time we covered, or I said this suggestion a few minutes ago. If the students have to finish the task in 10 minutes, for example, you can minimize the time into 5 minutes. And this would help you and the learners to practice many tasks in a short period of time. The next point is whole class viewing of a computer screen. And as we said here, we don't have an interactive whiteboard. Not all the schools have this, but I know that some of our schools already have those interactive whiteboards, which is really helpful. But in case you don't have one, there is one technique that you link your computer to a TV screen. We know this technique, right? You can talk to me. Some of you know this technique, to link the computer to a TV screen, right? And even in the resources room in our schools, we have the same thing, a CPU and a TV screen, and we link between them, right?
Right.
Okay. Here are the answers. As for the first one, which is time management, we all agreed that we need to manage our time all the time for the sequence of the whole lesson, not only a single part. And as for the other points, it's a bad practice. As for learner autonomy, Mr. Muhammad helped us saying that, what Mr. Muhammad again? Would you please help us again, remind us with what's meant
Yes,
by?
it means that learner will be independent, that they will take responsibility to share their learning process.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'll add to you saying that how we can encourage students' autonomy inside and outside the classroom. This is our rule, by the way. One way of integrating technology into our class and encouraging the students' autonomy is to use the mobile phones. If the students have access to mobile phones, or if they have mobile phones in the first place. Even if not all your learners have mobile phones, but still you can't ignore the number that they already have a mobile, because this would encourage them. As you said a few minutes ago, it's enjoyable and they like it and they like technology. So why not we shouldn't exploit it? How can we do that? How can we use their mobiles, for example, to raise or encourage their autonomy? We have 3 different ideas. Number 1, we may ask the students to audio or video record themselves while they are reading a certain text, while they are role-playing a certain dialogue. This is a kind of activity, and this is largely known these days on all the social media platforms. So the students can audio record or videotape themselves or video record themselves. To take photos which is to do a presentation, because this is one of the 21st century skills that the students are able to express themselves and present the knowledge or the ideas that they have. And to do this kind of presentation, we can assign a task to take certain photos to a certain location. Especially here in Damietta, we have many nice places to be shooted, and ask them even to give like a commentary on each photo. And this will be their presentation. If they have access to the internet, they can do it together, which will be more enjoyable. The question here says, could you use any of these ideas with your learners?
Of course, I have used some of them.
Like what? Tell us your experience.
Presentation.
How?
Presentation. I asked them to design a presentation on PowerPoint about certain matters, like nationalities and countries. They have done well.
Okay.
Also, I designed them online test, and they enjoyed it very much.
Okay, really nice. Mr., would you please share it on the WhatsApp group?
Yes, of course.
Any of them, the one that you like, because we're learning from each other, and maybe someone of us would see what you have did with your students, may get encouraged that I can do the same.
With my pleasure.
Thank you so much. Here is again the literature that is talking about learner autonomy and out of classroom learning. And we have here other ideas that we can use to raise our students' autonomy. The first one talks about the idea of, yes, Miss Islam, so you would like to do the same if your lesson is about a restaurant. Okay, nice. Waiting for that, inshallah, in the next term to see your applications. Inshallah. Thank you. Miss Islam has a problem in her mic, so she is typing for us. Thank you for being here. We have here, as I said, some more activities that we can use to raise or encourage learners' autonomy. The first one, to help them to understand the strategies they can use. They understand how they learn best and have strategies to help them learn. This is our rule here, and this is a new rule for us. Not to give them the knowledge, but the strategy to get to that kind of knowledge and how to master the strategy to study on their own. This is a real important point. Sometimes when you're talking to your students, you start telling them, when I was studying in the past at my age, I used to do 1, 2, 3. But those techniques aren't working anymore because you can use other 1, 2, 3, which is you're giving them the technique and how to apply it, which is a good thing from you as a teacher. And they can take an active approach to learning task at hand. And by active approach, we mean here that Mr. Ahmed said they are starting to be independent learners. Yes, Mr. Ahmed, sure, you can join. Unmute yourself and tell us your idea. Okay.
Yes, miss. Independent skill is a skill that an individual needs in order to perform activities of daily living.
Thank you. So it's a life skill, not only for the sake of learning something. Thank you. So our responsibility here is to tell them how to find the information, not to give them the whole information. And one way to do this is in the homework. For example, I can ask the students saying that I need you to research this topic and find the information so we can discuss it together as a class. If you have like a WhatsApp group like ours, you can just write this sentence down, and some of them, of course, would try to find information, and this would enhance their characters. And by the way, those are the learners who are from the very beginning are really independent, but just they need your own guidance. The question here is, how can you develop independent learning skills in your learners? Do you have any other techniques or activities or ideas that can help them to raise their autonomy?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, Miss Nagla. Yes, thank you. What
Yes.
can I do without you, Miss Nagla?
Thank you so much. We sometimes use the dialogues in the course book, for example, and ask students to role play it again, so as to personalize what they have already taught during the course. For example, if the lesson is about healthy food, someone can role play the role of a doctor, the other can be a patient, and they role play the dialogue so as to learn from it their life skills, not only the grammar or vocab of the unit, to learn life skills so as to use it in their lives.
Yes, thank you so
It
much.
also makes them reliable and self-independent.
Yes, sure. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm really grateful for you. We have here 6 tips we can use in order to further encourage learners' autonomy. We have like 6 sentences and with empty blanks, and your rule is to try to fill in the gaps. Can you take a minute thinking about the answers, and who is ready to answer, please raise your hand. Ready?
Yes.
Yes, Miss. Okay, Miss Hanan, yes, tell us. The first one is, we have here a keyword. Do you remember when we were talking about keywords?
First one, learner diaries.
Why? What's the keyword here?
You can reflect on what they have learned.
Thank you so much. Yes, that's it.
From this you can see.
Do you remember the word reflect?
Yes.
We talked about it in our first session, on which students...
and the benefit.
How much progress they are making.
Yes, so use learner diaries during lessons, so learners can reflect on what they have
to know how much progress they are making.
Yes, and by learner diaries, we mean that a note that is away from your homework note or class note, in which the students, you ask them to write their impressions about what they have learned, what should have been covered in this classroom, and this kind of diaries enhances the students' writing. The second one.
Time management skills.
Peer troubleshooting.
It's peer troubleshooting, and it says dedicate class time to discuss homework questions and set up peer troubleshooting and group reporting. And what's meant by peer troubleshooting? Do you remember?
Discuss the troubles that
Yes, mister?
Discuss the troubles that they have faced during answering or during doing the activity.
Yes, it's like finding the mistakes in their peers' notes, for example, and discussing them together. And our role as teachers here is to monitor and find the repeated pattern and discuss it as a whole. You know? Okay, the third one.
Yes.
Presentation.
Okay. Set aside time in each lesson for learners to give presentations about work or research they have done outside the classroom. Yes, we talked about this. It's a 21st century skill. It's really important. Students need to practice it in a safe environment like our classrooms, then to be able to practice it in their daily life or in the workplace after graduating. Number 4, design simple tasks with very clear
aims.
Yes, aims and boundaries. So learners know what they are doing and what they are and why they are doing it. Yes, it's really important for the learners sometimes.
Why they are doing it.
Yes, to know the aim. Why am I doing this? It's not logical or illogical to ask them to write a biography about a certain character without knowing that in their future life, it's a life skill that they need to acquire. And the boundaries that we need to write in like 180 words, we have to write in the present simple. For example, if we are to set limits for the writing, number 5,
Yes.
provide for writing.
Okay.
Scaffolding.
Yes. Yes, because
Scaffolding.
yes, when we model or give them the model, they know the criteria on which they are working. Yes,
Yes.
Mrs. Sam, thank you. You're really active.
Yes.
Thank you.
It's more benefit and achievable.
Yes. The last one, encourage time management skills.
Time management.
Time management
Yes,
skills.
by indicating how long learners should spend on each
skills.
task. Yes, and this is really important because nowadays learners
Giving limited time to each task.
because they forget about the timing most of the time. That's why when we were in prep 3 exams, some of the learners couldn't manage their time. So it's again a life skill they need to gain. And it's better to be practiced in classroom context. Ms. Islam is saying something? Yes, thank you. It's time management. Thank you. Let's move into the next slide here. It's talking about learner diaries, or we talked about it, and the period troubleshooting. This technique reduces time you need to spend troubleshooting. Instead of checking all the mistakes for the whole class, it would be better if they are working pairs, and then you are collecting the most common pattern and revising it on the board with the students. And we talked about scaffolding and giving models. And also one way to scaffold your learners is by brainstorming ideas. When they are writing about or talking about a new topic like saving the environment and recyclable items, sometimes they lack the necessary vocab. So we can brainstorm the vocab that they can use in this context. And this is a kind of a scaffolding too. Okay, we have here learner autonomy Q&A. This is a video. I'm going to send it to you on the WhatsApp group. And after watching it, we will discuss it more on the group. Okay? And here we have 6 files of classroom environment. This is an abstract from the resource book, and it's talking about or covering the idea of different kind or styles of environments that we have at our schools. I need from you to tell me either you have this kind of environment or not. No technology at all. Is there any one of us who has no technology at all at his or her school?
No. No.
Okay. One computer locked away in a cupboard.
Most of our schools.
Why is it happening? Why is this happening? Or what's your commentary about this?
About what, miss? Excuse me.
About having one computer which is locked away in a cupboard.
Some schools have, such as my school, we have so limited opportunities in our school. But at least there is a screen and a computer.
Okay, so you're looking at the positive side. Thank you. One computer in my classroom. Do you have that?
No. No.
A computer room.
Yes.
No.
Yes,
Most of
we
us.
have a computer room.
Yes.
Most of us.
Yes, I think
Computer
most.
in
Yes, Mr. Ahmed Al-Hadidi, you want to add something?
Yes, I think in a computer room is very useful because it improves teaching, educational and the scientific process through interactive teaching.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Shadia, I think you were to say something.
I'm sorry for not participating well today.
No.
Come late. I'm sorry, Mrs. Mara.
No problem.
I think all of us have a computer room, but rarely used.
Yes,
it's rarely used.
Or it's scheduled. You have certain time in which you're allowed to
once a week. We can participate once a week.
Yes, or use it once a week. Okay. Access to mobile phones. Do you have that? As for you and your learners?
No, for learners, no. They aren't allowed to take their computers to school.
It's forbidden for learners. It's forbidden for learners to use them at class.
Okay, let me ask it in another way. Do you have like
it's forbidden. It's banned.
Okay, do you have like a WhatsApp group with your class?
Yes.
With your learners? So still
yes, we have WhatsApp groups with our students, yes.
Yes, so you still, and your learners?
we share data.
Yes, that's it, which is a good thing.
Yes.
Okay, a computer with a printer in the staff room.
Yes.
Do you have that? You are the lucky ones. Keep it secret.
No.
Keep it secret. Those are some abstracts from the resource book. It says the environment that you have and the solutions that you can apply. I'll tell you quickly some of the solutions suggested here. As for if you have no internet or no computer, you can use your mobiles, for example, as we have just said. I need you to read it carefully because we're going to discuss it in detail on the WhatsApp group. Please, this is like an assignment for you. Take it seriously, please, because it helps you. And most of the ideas are talking about the best way that suits your environment. This is again an assignment for you. You will answer it on the WhatsApp group. You need to tell me the environment that you have at school and the best solution for it. As you can see here from the picture, what is this girl doing?
Playing.
Okay.
Jumping.
Yes, we're going to cover here the concept or the method of flipped classroom. And by the way, flipped classroom is supported by Dave Spencer. He is one of the advocates of this method. Do you have any idea about the flipped classroom technique or method?
Yes, I think students will prepare their lesson at home. Then they come to school to discuss it, not to receive information. They share teaching process at home.
Yes, nice. Thank you so much. So this is one of the methods that is discovered recently. And again, it helps to encourage learners' autonomy. And we have here 5 things we should know about the flipped classroom. We have here a video that we're going to watch together. Hold on for a second. In the video, we have like 5 questions. I need from you to focus on the video, the questions, and the solutions or the answers. So we're going to do what?
Watch a video.
And
think about question.
Thank you so much. Is the sound clear for you?
Yes, clear.
Things you should know. What is the flipped classroom? It's an approach to teaching and learning where classroom instruction and homework are switched or flipped. This means that the instruction is done at home via a short video, and students spend time in class applying what they've learnt. How does it work? In a traditional classroom, the teacher spends a large part of a lesson on classroom instruction, for example, giving information about a grammar structure or introducing new vocabulary. Students have a little time for practice in class, but have to continue their practice at home via homework with no support from the teacher. In a flipped classroom, students watch a video at home, which gives them the information they need to know about the language point. In class, the teacher can check their understanding and answer any questions they might have. The rest of the lesson is spent on practicing the language in pairs or groups, with the teacher there to support them. Why flip your classroom? Teachers who flip their classrooms say that it results in more effective learning and a more student-centred environment. Students have someone to ask for help when they practice using the language. The teacher has more opportunity to support weaker students and challenge stronger students with more difficult tasks or extra tasks. This means that everyone is engaged. What's the impact on teaching? The teacher has to make videos that present language or find them ready-made, such as those offered by the Gateway's second edition. In class, the teacher becomes more of a facilitator, helping students to practice using the language rather than giving information. The teacher has the opportunity to spend more time assessing student progress, which helps inform future lessons and learning. What's the impact on learning? Homework becomes more meaningful because students have to complete it to be ready for the practice stages in class. And by putting classroom instruction in students' hands, they have the opportunity to take control over their learning. They decide when to watch the video, how to watch it, how many times to watch it, and so on. Advocates of the flipped classroom say that students not only learn the subject, they also learn how to learn and become more motivated as a result.
Okay, I guess the first question goes exactly with your answer when you tell us about what's meant by a flipped classroom. As shown in the video, flipped classroom is an approach to teaching and learning where classroom instructions and homework are switched or flipped. As the Mr. says, we start from home, not from school. The instructions is done at home by a short video, and again, this is a real important point. You need to find a video or a video recorded by yourself, but it needs to be short, clear, to the point, and enjoyable as well. If it's too long, for example, students wouldn't watch it. Students come in class applying what they have learned. And if you take it seriously, the students will do the same as well. If you just told them, okay, some of you can watch it, while you know that all of them have mobile phones, those some wouldn't watch it because you didn't take it seriously. And here it says, in a traditional class, the teacher would spend a lot of time on a classroom instruction. He talks for a longer period of time, which is TTT. Do you remember TTT and STT? Do you know those two abbreviations or acronyms? TTT and STT?
Yes.
Okay.
TTT, teacher time talking.
Yes, and STT?
And it should be reduced during the lesson?
Yes.
STT, student time talking,
yes.
And it must be more.
Yes. So here the TTT or the teacher's talking time would take much longer time than what is supposed to happen. In a flipped classroom, the students watch a video at home, gives them additional or prior information they need to know about the language point. And then when they come to class, they would practice the language. In a class, the teacher can check their understanding and answer any questions they might have, and to check the students' understanding about the content. What should he do? Mr. Ahmed?
Yes, I think flipped is very important because it supports the lower learners and encourage the stronger learners.
Okay, nice. And for checking understanding again, the teacher can do what?
The teacher here is a facilitator.
So he can do what?
Ask ICQs.
Thank you.
A teacher here is a facilitator.
facilitator. And as Ms. Nagda said, not ICQs, it's understanding, checking the questions, you know?
Facilitator,
Yes, not to check the instructions, but their understanding about the content of the video, for example. And then the students here have longer period of time to work either in pairs or in groups. And the teacher here is to scaffold or support them. Here in the flipped classroom, again, it's one of the techniques that encourage students' autonomy because they practice using the language. It challenges stronger students because maybe the video contains a new piece of information that they have never heard about before, and they go and search more and more about it and support weaker students, because if I am a weak student and I hear the video about some topic related to the content, and when I went to school I can say like 2 sentences, this is a kind of support for me.
Yes, it encourages them to participate. Yes, encourages them to participate with us.
Yes, thank you. Here again, teachers have more time to engage students because their TTT would go less than before. As
because they already have an idea about the new.
Yes. I was covering the questions. It's my fault. I'm really sorry for that. The question here is, what is the impact on teaching? If I am a teacher who is applying the flipped classroom, what's its impact on teaching? Teachers have to make videos that present language or find ready-made ones. And again, what are the criteria for posting a certain video to the students? Do you remember? What should
be short and clear?
Yes. What else? Thank you. What
be
else?
Short.
Yes. Clear.
Clear.
Enjoyable.
Objective.
Yes, objective means related to the content, you know?
Related to the content.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You're an awesome group. Mr. Ahmed, yes?
I think it design on learning performance in higher education.
Higher education only, you mean that we can use it with elder students?
Yes, the impact of flipper teaching.
Okay, let me ask you, what's your opinion? Can't we use such a method with prep 1 and 2, for example? Or save it for the secondary
I disagree
stage?
with him.
Why? Okay, Ms. Islam has a nice answer here. Flip the class teaches the students how to catch the fish, not to eat it, not to eat only. Yes. Okay, thank you. I think Mr. Ahmed's idea is about raising the learner's autonomy because it's a kind of a challenging thing for them, so it would get them to a higher level of thinking or something. Am I right?
It's a new direction of education nowadays.
Yes, sure. And it copes with...
I think it's a new direction of learning.
Yes, Ms. Shadia, and it copes with the recent developments in technology.
They must practice that from the beginning.
Okay, yes, they are using
I think
technology.
they must practice that from the beginning to be able to cope up with this current of learning or education.
Yes, again, as Ms. Shadia said, the teacher role here is to, as a facilitator, assist the students' progress.
Facilitator.
Yes. What's the impact of flipped classroom on learners' learning?
It will be more meaningful, it will be more effective, and the student will enjoy it.
Yes.
More enjoyable.
Yes. Here it says it's more meaningful.
More benefit.
Yes. Homework becomes more meaningful because the students have to complete to become ready for practice stages in class. And again, teachers need to take it seriously. They have the opportunity to take control over their learning because I am the one who controls when, where, and for how many times am I going to watch this video, for example. How can
according to their level.
Yes. How can I flip my class? another video, and before watching the video, please screenshot those 3 questions because we're going to discuss them after watching the video.
Yes.
Okay.
Heard about the flipped classroom, I was really excited about its potential because I really wanted to give my students more control over their learning, and I also wanted to give them more practice of using language in the classroom. So I took the plunge and I made my first video on going to for future plans. I set my class video for homework. They were an A2 class of students, and I asked them to go home and watch the video and take notes and bring those notes to class the next day. The idea was to use that lesson practicing the language that they'd seen in the video. Of course, you can imagine what happened when students came to the lesson. Half of them hadn't watched the video, and of the ones that had watched it, well, several of them hadn't really understood what it was all about and what they actually had to do with it. So rather than give them lots of practice time, what I had to do was present the language in the same way that I normally do. My first experiences of the flipped classroom hadn't been particularly successful, but I didn't want to give up, so I made another video, this time on verb patterns. I introduced it differently into the classroom. Firstly, I made the learning objectives of the lesson really clear to students. Now, this is good practice anyway, but at that time it wasn't something I always did. But on this occasion, I told students that the idea was for them to be able to use going to talk about future plans. I also involved them in this as well. We talked about why that was important for them. The second thing I did was bring the video up on the screen in the class and freeze it and show them an image from the video. And the idea was to get them predicting what they thought it was about so that I could engage them in the video and make them want to go away and watch it. On this occasion, I didn't actually set it for homework, however. We watched it together. Now, I could have done it in the classroom, but we actually went to one of our computer rooms in the school. So students had their own computer, they watched the video at their own pace, but I was there to help them to take notes and support them. Once we'd done it together, they had a much better understanding of what they had to do, and were then better able to go and do it independently at home. Slowly but surely, our flip lessons were working. We established a routine so students knew when they would need to go home and watch a video for homework. In class, I was able to give students more individual attention. I could error correct. I could give them vocabulary that they needed, and I could help them with pronunciation. I could support weaker students with language prompts and vocabulary, and I could challenge stronger students with extra tasks or by taking language prompts away. Of course, it wasn't perfect. Sometimes students came to class having not watched the video, and I'd have to ask them to go to the back of the class and watch the video on their mobile device while other students were practicing. Sometimes I'd ask a stronger students to peer teach the language to them instead. Flip learning has a lot of potential. It can help learners to become more independent, and it allows you to have much more practice of language items in the classroom. It does take some getting used to, for teachers and students alike, but once routines are established, it can be very successful. There are many benefits to flipping the classroom, and it's definitely worth trying it with your students and persevering to see if they can gain from those benefits too.
Let's go back to the questions. And the first question is, was her first experiment successful?
No, she wasn't successful.
Why? What were the problems?
She only made a video, then she set it for homework. Then the class practice at home without giving guiding or without giving aim or clear what she would like them to do.
Okay, nice. What did she do differently the second time?
The next time she make it clear, then she make a video in classroom, support them to understand what she would like them to do. She watched the video with them in class.
And as for you, what do you learn from her experience?
Not to give up.
Yes, because she said similar problems that we here may face. Like some of the students didn't watch the videos at home, and she had a solution for that. And here we have the 4 steps that we use to put the flipped classroom lesson in a sequence. We need here to put them in order. What's the first step?
The teacher creates or finds short videos presentation of the language.
Thank you so much, Mr. Muhammad. Yes, exactly. And after that?
Learner watch the video for homework.
Yes, and after that?
The teacher check
answers.
Yes.
Yes.
The teacher checks answers and then students practice more and more. We have here 3 videos. Again, those 3 videos will be sent on the WhatsApp group, and I want from you to tell me which one of them did you like most and why, and which of them do you feel that it's useful or could be useful for you. This is a screenshot for the first one, the second, and the third. And again, this is our second assignment for today. The question here for you is, what do you think are the advantages and the possible apprehensions or problems that could have in a flipped classroom while applying it? First of all, let's talk about the advantage.
I think it will be more effective and meaningful because students will understand more, and the learning process not only will be giving information, they will create and find information by themselves, then come to school to discuss it.
Okay. What about the possible problems or disadvantages?
Some students will find it difficult to depend on themselves without helping from teachers, and they can spend much time to find information. But good students will find it more enjoyable to search and find information by themselves.
Okay.
I think it's difficult to apply.
Why?
If you ask me 2 years ago, it may happen, but now I think most students are so indifferent towards learning.
No. I like it. It's kind of independence for the students.
Okay.
I like it very much. It's a kind of independence.
It helps
practice in class.
Yes, again, it's for
it's a healthy environment for learning. I think that.
Yes, it raises or encourages learners' autonomy. We have here some advantages, like using technology to give students control of their interaction. Excellent video lectures are freely or easily available. And time for hands-on learning and creative project, because like that you will have a newer idea to apply, and the students will have a newer idea or modern idea to solve some kind of problem in the content of the video, for example. Possible problems may be or might be, what if students don't watch the video for homework? The possible solution here is try to make or choose videos interesting and informative, short, clear, to the point. What if the explanation in the video is different from my way of explanation, and this could happen? We need here to tell the students that teachers have different teaching styles, and you as a learner, you need to be flexible to get any kind of information from the teacher, whatever style he has, because this will help you in the future for your own character, for building their own characters. So the more different
we can solve that from the beginning. We can solve that from the beginning when we choose the material that the students will show at home.
Nice suggestion.
It must be linked to what I teach at class.
Yes, and here
the same way.
And here it
explanation.
Says, yes, I'm really sorry, I'm interrupting you. The more different types of explanation we give our students, the better they understand the content. And here again, a video that you're going to watch at home, and we are going to discuss it more on the WhatsApp group. Want to make your own flipped classroom videos? This is how to make a video at home or at school for your own students. We're going to watch the video and discuss, can we do it or not? What are the resources we're going to need? And what are the programs or apps that we're going to need to edit or add to the video, for example. In next session, inshallah, we will cover some of the platforms that we can use with our learners. The flipped classroom is not. Those are some points that we need to have in mind. It's not just online videos. It's not about replacing teachers with videos. We cannot do without teachers. It's not an online class because it's just part of the whole process. It's not students working without a structure because you have your own criteria that you set to the students to work upon. It's not students working in isolation because again they can work on their social media group and get back to class and work together. It's not students spending the entire class online because you can't transfer the whole process into the online process or part. The flipped classroom is a means to increase teacher contact time with the learners. It's an environment that increases students' responsibility, as you all agreed on, and the blending of direct instruction and constructive learning. It's a class where all the students are engaged, either you are a weak learner or one of the toppers. It's a class where absent students want to fall behind, and this happens a lot. If I didn't attend for 2 days, I feel that a huge portion of the curriculum I have missed, or the course book. A class where all the students are engaged in their learning because each one is responsible for his or her learning. This is the last video, and again, I'm sorry, we will watch it at home on the WhatsApp group. You need to tell how to motivate learners when teaching online. What are your impressions about this question?
See the video together.
Okay, thank you, Doctor.
Watch teachers talking about how they set expectations and motivate learners when teaching online. Then read what parents said about activities that motivate their children. How do you set expectations and motivate your learners?
I'm currently teaching older primary students online, and I try to set expectations in the same way online as I would do in the face-to-face class, with clear learning outcomes at the beginning of the lesson. So after a brief warmer, which helps to motivate them and get them engaged, such as we'll play a game as in guess the object, and I'll bring an object slowly into focus until the first person guesses what it is, and then they get to do the same, and we go around the class, everybody guessing what the common object is, for example. Then straight after that warmer, we'll go on to looking at the learning outcomes. So that helps to set expectations of what they're going to do in the lesson, and they'll also see in the class stages that there are some other fun activities, ones that I know already that they're going to like, such as playing an online vocabulary game, or pair work in breakout rooms, that are interspaced with the other activities. So as they see them coming up, then they're motivated to get through the hard work to get to the fun bits.
It can be difficult to engage learners in online learning, especially teenagers. But I think the key is to go slowly and react to what makes them feel comfortable. For example, if you have a group of teenagers who are turning off their cameras, don't want to be seen, who don't have microphones that work, start slowly using the chat box and then encourage them this way. With young learners, you can use points, reward system for the more responses they make and the more they participate in class.
We had Dr. Lamia, our from the British Council, and she shared the video that we were supposed to watch. The question was about how to motivate learners when teaching online.
I have an experience with my students online.
Can you share it
I
with
work
us?
with my students on an application online. Really,
And
in fact, it's very enjoyable. Students like kinds of contests.
Okay, nice.
I share some kinds of contents during my work with them. And I ask my students to raise their hands and speak with me on the mic. They like it very much. They like to work in groups. Online, this criteria is found. They can work on groups, speak together, and try to get the answer. I think it's motivated for them.
Okay, Ms. Shadia,
more practice is very important.
Can you please share with us some of the sites that you usually use in this regard?
I
mean the links that you use.
I work with my students on Noon Academy.
I mean the competitions that you're talking about. Can you share some of them to us? Some of the ideas on the WhatsApp group?
Some kind of contest, yes. It's a kind of choice questions.
Okay.
It's prepared previously.
You can give us like an example by the end of this session. We still have like 3 scenarios. I'm going to screenshot them for you on the WhatsApp group, and you to tell me how can you try to apply them in a flipped classroom. Thank you so much.
Thanks for your great effort.
Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure.